Good morning, everyone. EG here. I'm heading out. I was able to get, if you saw my last video, you know that I was having problems getting tickets to online using a card. So I did get tickets to the Tower of London. I'm out very early trying to navigate my way on the underground and hope things go well. It's supposed to rain today and I do not have an umbrella. Do have a raincoat with a hood, so we'll see how much it actually rains, if it's just hopefully sprinkling or something. So anyway, I'll be taking you along on the day with me. Let's go to the Tower of London.
Side. Change for London Overground and National Rail Service. This is a Circle Line train via...
So I made it to Trinity Square Gardens, which is right outside the stop, the underground stop for Tower Hill. And I got to walk my way over to the Tower of London. So I got to tell you, I'm so proud of myself. I had to navigate quite a few steps though. There are lifts, but you have to kind of wait a lot for that. And I figured I could get up the stairs, but for people who couldn't get upstairs, the underground can be a challenge. So yeah, it was pretty straightforward. I had to take 2 different trains, but it was fine. And yeah, so now it's starting to sprinkle. I don't have an umbrella. I'm hoping that the rain does not get really bad. So I'm gonna put my hood up for now and I'll catch up with you soon. But do you want to read about the ravens?
Yes.
Then they were buried in this.
Hey y'all, so I actually, the footage you just saw of the outing I took to the Tower of London was a few days ago. I'm actually in Albania already, but I just wanted to kind of describe what happened that day and what was good, what was not great. and all of that, explain my experience. So the first thing I would say is that I was so proud of myself for taking the underground and just navigating that, and I actually really enjoyed it. The subway, it was great, very clean. Not real confusing. I had to ask a couple of people just to reassure myself that I was catching the right train in the right direction. And people were really nice on the platform. There were some steps to navigate. So I definitely, there are elevators in some of the underground stations, but I'm not sure they're in all the underground stations because uh, there are a couple times escalators, but I had to walk up some stairs and down some stairs. So if you again are challenged with mobility in any way, I think the underground would be a little challenging. Not totally. I know that, like I said, I know in like the King's Cross St. Pancras changeover station there for the underground that they do have an elevator there, but I'm just not sure how many stations have an elevator. So I would just say, you know, do your research if you were going to go to London and do the underground, make sure you can get around. So, no, it was great though. I enjoyed it. I actually would have liked to have ridden more on the subway there and gone to more places, but I ended up only being able to do that the day before I left because I wasn't in London that long. So, anyway, I got to the station, the Tower Hill station, which is right next to the Tower of London, and it wasn't raining yet. I looked at the forecast. I knew it was going to rain. And I was really bummed because if you saw my last video, you know that I actually wanted to go on the Monday, which actually was a holiday in the UK. It was a bank holiday. And I wanted to go that day, but because I couldn't access my credit card to do the tickets online, and I wasn't even really totally sure I was going to be able to get cash out to pay for the ticket and everything. I ended up just putting it off till Tuesday. Probably in retrospect shouldn't have done that because I would have had a much better time there on the Monday with the weather. So I thought, you know, how bad can it be, the weather today? So I didn't have an umbrella with me because I never packed one on this trip, and I had not bought one up till then. But I figured they would have a gift shop there, and I probably could get an umbrella, which I did, because I don't even know how I could have done it at all without an umbrella. I mean, it was pouring rain. By the time my entrance time was like 12:30 p.m., and by the time I went, and I was even a little bit early for that, but by the time I checked in at the entrance and was able to get into the tower, it was pouring. And I you know, wish I'd gone 3 hours earlier. There was a lot of wish I had thoughts in my head. And even with an umbrella, because the rain was so hard, my back, you know, I had a rain jacket on with a hood, but even my back got wet, my purse got wet that I had, you know, I was wearing it crossbody. The front of that even got wet from the rain. My pants got wet. I mean, it was miserable. It was miserable. And, you know, anything but that, anything but like a pouring rain. If it had just been drizzling or misty or something like that, or a little bit of rain off and on, that would have been fine. But this was nonstop downpour, and I was amazed at how many people in the tower. You can probably see from the footage I had that a lot of people didn't even have an umbrella. I don't even understand, like they were just okay with getting soaked. And because a lot of it, you're walking outside or you're standing in line outside. And because of the rain, there was no way I was going to be able to wait in line to see the crown jewels that day. It just, you know, if it had been a decent day, I probably would have waited. But no, everybody was just standing there in the pouring rain. And so I walked around, got my footage. The problem was they have these lovely benches. You can sit at the tower and just, you know, sit and take it in and, you know, look at things and, you know, watch people or whatever. And with the rain, I couldn't even do that. All the benches were soaking wet. So it was just a challenge. And I ended up going in their little restaurant there to get some tea and, like something like a snack or something. And it was packed in there because everybody had the same idea. Like everybody was just trying to get out of the rain. So, yeah, and it was like a Tuesday. It shouldn't have been that busy, but it was crazy. And so honestly, where I could have spent probably 3 hours at the tower, I was there only about an hour and a half total, and I had to call it quits because I didn't want to get so soaked that I was going to get sick from that or something like that. So anyway, I was a bit disappointed. I only have myself to blame. I should have fought harder to, get there on Monday, which I just didn't think, or I should have chosen to go on to Westminster Abbey instead, which would have been inside the whole time. So, yeah, that was kind of, again, trying to make decisions when things are kind of wacko is sometimes you don't always make the best one. I mean, the bottom line was I really wanted to see the tower more than I wanted to see Westminster Abbey. So that was why I was leaning in that direction. And it was wonderful seeing it. It really was. I mean, I just felt very surreal I'll tell you the good feelings I had about it right now, which is that first of all, I don't know if you know this, but I grew up on English history from the time I was probably 12, 13 years old. By the time I was in high school, I was like a nut for all the, Tudor and Stuart history in England. Remember when I was in high school, those BBC shows came out with Henry VIII and his six wives, and then Elizabeth R., which was about Elizabeth I, with the wonderful actress Glinda Jackson in the role, which I still think she was the best Elizabeth I've ever seen in a production. But anyway, I grew up on that stuff, I've seen so many movies and read so many books about it, and just, so seeing the tower, knowing like all the different things that had happened there, like, this is where the kings and queens went the night before their coronation. This is where, executions happened. This is where prisoners were held. Like Elizabeth I, when her sister Mary was queen, she imprisoned her for a while at the tower. And what was really great is if you saw that footage I did of Traitor's Gate, very famous. That's where they called it that because if you entered through that on the water, you were, considered to be a traitor to the crown. And just seeing that, it just took me back to all the all the times they filmed stuff there, and you've seen these historical figures portrayed that had to walk up from the boat at Trader's Gate, and so it meant a lot to me to see a lot of this because I was really bummed that the chapel of Peter Advincula was not open. It's being, I guess, worked on right now. They're doing some reconstruction or renovation or something like that. And it was not open. And I so wanted to go in that church. That's where, the remains of Anne Boleyn were buried, and also Catherine Howard, Henry VIII's fifth wife, were there, and some other famous figures from that period of history. So I really wanted to go there and couldn't go inside. So I was a little bummed about that because that would have been nice. Of course, if the line had taken forever out in the rain, I don't know if I would have made it there. I think the Crown Jewels, that was the biggest line I saw there. So, because everybody wants to go see that. And if I ever get back to London, I will definitely pick a sunny day to go there so that I can wait in line because wasn't going to do that in the pouring rain. Also, there were some steps at the tower, and I could have gone up in the White Tower, but because it was so raining and slippery, I didn't want to go up they have kind of these, it almost looks like scaffolding steps. They're like wood or whatever, but I was a little nervous that they were not going to feel real secure to walk up, so I didn't do that. Could have gone in there, but I didn't. So, this is what happens when you pick the wrong day to go to the tower. So I guess that would be my cautionary tale for anyone. But still loved it. Still loved it. Really felt the history there. I really did. And you know, it was just felt surreal that I was actually standing there. I've watched it in so many videos and movies and read so much about it, and just to be there. I would say when you're in the inside the walls, it doesn't seem as big as I thought it would be. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't seem as large as I've seen it portrayed in other film and stuff. So that's the only thing I would say was a little bit of a surprise, that everything is really kind of packed in there really close, fairly close. And so there's not as much kind of open space as I expected there to be. Of course, one of the things you should know is I did film that little thing where it shows where what was called Tower Green was. In other words, that's where a lot of executions were done. But actually, even though they have a placard there saying, oh, this is where Anne Boleyn, you know, was executed, it actually is not where she was executed. They moved her scaffold. It wasn't in the typical Tower Green spot. It actually was a little bit up the way, kind of in between the White Tower and the building that houses the crown jewels. Her exact spot is actually considered to be there. So you'll see when I showed that snippet of in front of the crown jewels, that area right in there is actually where she was supposedly actually executed. So and because they built a special scaffold for her, and in a different spot a little bit. So also you don't see the rooms where she was held before her execution, because that structure no longer exists at the tower. So yeah, but anyway, it was a fascinating thing. I loved it. Came back on the tube underground, had no problems. And I did do one funny thing, though. I will caution you about this, because I bought my ticket for the underground with an agent. They have like a ticket booth, because I could have gone to the automated, but since I'd never done it before, I wanted to make sure that, you know, I told her where I needed to go, and, you know, she could charge me the right price or whatever. Well, she told me that she gave me like a outbound ticket and a return ticket. And what you do is when you go in the turnstile to get into the underground station, you put that in the slot and it takes it. Well, but she didn't tell me to wait for it, and it pops right up and you pick it up after it's been validated. Because when you get out of the tube station where you're going, you have to use that again to get out of the station. And she did not tell me that. So, and I had no one to tell me that. So, like an idiot, when I used it the first time, I put it in and then I didn't see where it came out. And so I just walked through and I didn't pick up my ticket. So when I tried to get out at Tower Hill, I realized I was not going to be able to do that without a ticket. So I had to go up to one of the employees there and tell them what I had done. And they let me out they have a little area they can let you out without, but the lady kind of rolled her eyes at me a little bit, like, how could you be so stupid kind of look, which it's like, I've never done this before. I didn't know that. So I'm telling you that if you've never ridden it, when you get a ticket, unless you get like a pass, which you can just, you know, put on the little thing, you don't have to put anything in the machine. But if you get like a paper ticket where you have to insert it, you got to look for that to pop up at the top and grab it, because otherwise you can't get out unless you seem like a stupid idiot from America. So that was kind of funny. So anyway, I'm so glad I went. I wanted to share that with you. You're seeing this video now, and I'm filming this part of it. I'm already in Tirana, Albania. I'm not going to tell you anything about it. In the next video, you'll see me do some footage of how I got here, and then also I'll talk about it on my live stream. But yeah, I am here. I'm safe and sound. So in the next video, you'll see the kind of beginnings of this trip. But anyway, I loved being in the UK. I loved being in London. I wish I had had more time there. It was very expensive, and I can tell you already, it's a nice change to be here where everything is so cheap in comparison because I mean, all I would say is if you're going to London in particular, probably even if you're going to Scotland, because I know Scotland, Edinburgh is very expensive as well, but figure out how much you think you're going to need and then double it. That's what I would say. So, anyway, until next time, be kind always and keep moving forward. Take care. Bye.